What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm really excited to be bringing you my review of the QSP Gannet. The Gannet has a 3.25-inch 154 cm blade steel. I really like this blade steel a lot. This is an excellent budget blade steel that is very well rounded. It has 3.5-inch handles. In my particular instance, I have the green micarta handles that look really good. They have the wood grain look to them and they feel really good. Hopefully you can get a really good look at the texturing on them. It is smooth but grippy, and it has the carbon fiber bolsters. These are really soft and really well done. Overall length is 7.75 inches and the claim weight is 3.44 ounces. Let's go ahead and check that out right now. So 3.5 ounces, probably about right when they say that it's 3.44. Probably my scale rounds it up just a little bit if it's off ever so slightly. One thing that I did want to point out about this, it is a front flipper only, and it is a right hand carry only. It does have a deep carry pocket clip, and it is slightly inset into the micarta, and it does have rounded screw heads. I have no issues whatsoever taking this in and out of the pocket. As you can see here on the show side, there's a little bit of milling, and on the non-show side, you do not have any milling whatsoever that I have seen. Does have the G10 back spacer here as well. Access to the liner lock is really, really well done. Lockup is really solid on this one, and manipulating the liner lock, very, very easy. This has excellent action. It's on ceramic bearings. Front flipper action works really, really well. I have no issues with the deployment whatsoever, and that's because they did a really good job on the jimping here. Jimping goes all the way around the top and down to the back side, so you have plenty of gripping surface, and you have a little bit of gripping here too when you have the knife in hand in this particular position. Ergonomics are outstanding. This has contoured scales on it. You can see here, rounds. So it just has ever so slight contouring on both sides all the way through the knife, which really lends to the ergonomics. The grip with the micarta and the really textury carbon fiber is really, really nice as well. What I'd like to do is go ahead and just throw out some comparison knives for you guys. That way, if you have any of the knives that I'm going to list out here, hopefully that'll help you with determining like where this falls in the size range. And then what I'll do after that is I'll go ahead and throw out some comparable knives that I think that are very similar in size and performance. So first up, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Spydercos. First up is the Yojimbo 2. The Yojimbo 2 has a 3.125-inch 20 CV blade with 4.5-inch G10 handles, and it comes in at 7.5 inches, weighing 4 ounces. So pretty comparable in size when you think about the fact that the Gannet is 7.75 and the Yojimbo 7.5. So really closer to the size of that Yojimbo 2. Next up, I'll bring out the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and try not to kick these knives around too much when I do so. Apologize. Also, it's a little cold today, so if you hear that heater in the background, I do apologize for that. The Paramilitary 2, 3.44-inch S45 VN blade, 4.81-inch G10 handles for an overall length of 8.25 inches and weighing in at 3.75 ounces. So the Paramilitary 2 a little bit closer in weight to the Gannet, a little bit longer, a little bit more blade length, and a little bit more handle length. So hopefully if you have one of these knives, this will help you with that comparison. Also, this is really close to the size of the Para 3. As far as the length, now it does have more presence than the Para 3, but as far as the length and the weight, very close to that as well. So hopefully that also will help. Next up, I'm going to bring out the crossbar locks. First up is going to be my Benchmade bug out. The bug out is 3.24 inches of S30V blade steel. I'm sorry, 3.25 inches of S30V blade, 4.22-inch handles, and coming in at 7.46 inches, so really close in size. This is going to come back out later as a comparable knife. So the bug out's coming in at 2.8 ounces with the titanium scale, still a little bit lighter. than the Gannet, but the Gannet's still really nice weight, coming in at that 3.5 ounce mark, very lightweight. Next up, I'm going to bring out the Sig K320 made by Hogue. This has a 3.5 inch S30V blade, 4.5 inch polymer handles, overall length 8 inches, and coming in at 4.16 ounces. So you can see this is just a bigger knife. It's kind of in between these two, even though it's really close to that bug out. So if you have these knives again, hopefully that helps you a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and bring out my budget comparison knives, and I am updating my budget knives for 2022. I'm taking it all the way up to $100 for what I consider a budget knife, and anything under $50 is going to be the ultra budget friendly. So having said that, first up, the ultra budget friendly QSP KU321, because this comes in at under $50, has a 2.99 inch D2 steel blade, 4.29 inch G10 handles for a full length of 7.28 inches and coming in at 3.32 ounces. So this one has a very similar handle length, very close anyway, but a little bit shorter in that blade length. The last knife that I'd like to bring out of the budget comparisons is going to be the Civivi Cogent. The Cogent has a 3.47 inch 14C28N blade, 4.41 inch G10 handles for an overall length of 7.88 inches and coming in at 3.7 ounces. So you can see this is a very comparable knife. What I'll do really quickly is I'll go ahead and do the profiles. I'm going to leave the Cogent out here because that is going to be one of the other comparable knives that I'd like to compare against the Gannet. But just from a profile perspective, you can see here the Gannet is just a touch thinner than the QSP is, and the QSP also has contoured scales. We'll go ahead and bring out the Yojimbo. Let me go ahead and switch hands so I'm not crossing up hands so much. You can see here that the Yojimbo 2 looks like it's slightly thinner. And then we'll go ahead and bring out the Benchmade bug out with the titanium scales. You can see the bug out's a lot thinner. And let me go ahead and bring out let me go ahead and do the Cogent, because I do think the Cogent is a comparable knife when you talk about the overall size. Now, you can see here that the Cogent and the Gannet are very similar. I'd probably say a little bit more thickness due to the contouring on the Gannet. So just really quick from, again, from a knife perspective, ergonomic and size perspective, I think that the Cogent, even though it has a little bit more size right here behind the blade where the finger guard is, I think the slender handle and the blade style and everything that's offered between the two as far as the size is very comparable. I also think that the bug out is very comparable as well. The difference being is that you have a flipper tab with the Cogent to deploy, or you can use the button lock to deploy it as well. Whereas with the Gannet, it is solely a front flipper, but there is plenty of fidget factor there with that front flipper if you're willing to learn how to manipulate the knife. So I do really think that that's really good, but most front flippers I have found are smaller, and they are definitely more like a fifth pocket or an office carry type knife. Sorry, this tape is going to drive me nuts where I was opening packages earlier. I really think that they did a really good job with the detent and the lockup and access and everything on this one. To me, it is really worth considering for a primary carry. The ergonomics are really outstanding. These two knives here are some of the ones that I really like from an EDC perspective, where, you know, something that you're carrying that can do lightweight and some heavyweight tasks and feel really comfortable in hand, but really be minimal for footprint and pocket. And the reason I say that is because when you take into consideration something like the K320 from Sig, this is more of a hard use knife. This is something I break out on the weekends or something I'd use when I'm breaking down the boxes. But I feel like the one knife that I think is probably a little bit more in line with what I would consider like the perfect EDC is going to be something like the Yojimbo 2, because it does give you more spine strength. It gives you that hollow grind. It gives you the thin ergonomics, but really just maximizing that profile in the pocket for me by being thin and being able to sit in the pocket and kind of go into both duties but this would be like my maximum sized EDC, whereas I feel like the Gannet is right in that sweet spot. And if you don't mind the fact, or if you're drawn or attracted to the fact that it is the front flipper, it's really nice. It's really thin behind the edge, and it has a really good geometry that carries all the way to the spine through that flat grind. I really do like that a lot. They gave you a fairly decent sharpening tool. It'd take a couple sharpenings before you come into that plunge grind, and then you'll just get a little bit of a smile, or you'll rub into that plunge a little bit as you get up too high. But again, 154 should respond well to just being stropped and brought back to a fine sharpened edge. You shouldn't need to take away the blade material too much with 154. I really do like the micarta, and the carbon fiber is really tacky, so it offers plenty of grip. I really do like this. I was just surprised how much I like this. The in-hand fullness. So the bug out is a knife that I've probably mentioned on other videos that I really do like, that it has good ergonomics for being so thin and slicey, and has good fidget factor to it, really good action with the Flytanium scales on there. I've noticed a difference between the G10 and the Flytanium, but for me, I actually have found that I really do like the ergonomics on the Gannet. So again, coming back to the Cogent has good ergonomics, but they still have the flat scales. And that's where I feel like they found a really good balance of contouring very slightly without making it feel super thick. And it just feels, feels really comfortable on hand. I would highly recommend this knife, especially if you like front flippers. I think if you like front flippers, this is definitely one you should check out. It is really well priced. It is in the budget realm because it comes under $100, and I think that's phenomenal value for micarta with carbon fiber bolsters, a fairly decent size 154 cm blade steel. Really good performance from a knife manufacturer that I really do like a lot. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, leave a like. It helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Consider subscribing if you're enjoying the content like this. I'd love to have you follow along. I want to keep growing the channel and bringing the content. Turn on those notifications so you get alerts whenever new videos drop. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Thank all of you for the wonderful support that you've provided for me. Until next time, guys, peace.